NorthAmericanSumo.com.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Matt C. Howard again, and thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of our interview series. And you probably know that the World Sumo Championships is coming up on October 19th in Japan. This year is going to be a wonderful event. We have a new weight class, and we have a lot of really strong American competitors attending the World Sumo Championships. One of those competitors is the person I'm interviewing today, Cody Coleman. She's been competing in sumo for several years. She's competed at the US Sumo Open, she's competed at the US Sumo Nationals, and of course she's appearing at the World Sumo Championships, so that means that she won a gold medal at this year's US Sumo Nationals. So in this interview we talk about her history in sumo, her future in sumo, how she got married in her gym on a sumo mat. So as you can tell, she lives, breathes, and competes in sumo. So listen, enjoy, and thank you for tuning in. And y'all got married at the gym, correct?
Yes.
Would you mind giving details and all that and everything?
Well, with Hurricane Barry, it was very stressful. However, it didn't hit La Place at all, but we did have high winds and some rain. And when we had a lot of family that were older, so that made us nervous. My parents drove down in the hurricane; they're older, so it was actually more nerve-wracking than I ever anticipated because we had never necessarily planned. I say elaborate; it wasn't very elaborate, but I mean it was a planned wedding, so we had never done that, and that was different. But overall, we were so happy with it, and we were so grateful for the people that came. It just made it that much more special.
Good, that's wonderful. And y'all got married on a sumo mat, correct?
Yes, so we had Sean Jackson, Cornelius Booker, King Warren, and Sean Jackson's son Aaron, all at the four corners of the ring where we got married in the middle by our pastor.
That's so wonderful. I enjoy that. But so it sounds like you have a very long or a very deep interest in sumo, considering you got married in a sumo on a sumo mat. So first off, let's start from the very beginning. Did you participate in other sports before joining sumo, or was sumo the first really athletic thing that you did?
I've done other sports recreationally. So when I was younger, I did softball. I tried volleyball, didn't really like it. I also did a lot of outdoorsy stuff, like just hiking, cycling, things like that. Piqued my interest. Anything that was outside. I didn't do a lot of team sports, didn't have a lot of opportunity for that. So as far as sticking to one thing consistently and doing it, sumo is probably it.
Okay, and did you play those other sports in like high school or then, or?
Yeah, like elementary and then middle school, high school.
Okay, gotcha. And were they things that you typically excelled at, or was it just something you were just doing for fun?
I'm sorry?
Were the other sports, were they things that you tend to excel at? Were you like an all-star at sports, or was it something you were just doing it as a recreation?
I was just doing it as recreation.
Okay, gotcha. So then what drew you into doing sumo then? What sparked your interest in it?
Well, actually, it was so interesting because my son did judo with Andre in a club called Welcome Mat in Kansas City. And so he was hosting a sumo camp because he had just gotten into, but probably a year to a year and a half prior, gotten into sumo and kind of went in and grew that under the Welcome Mat umbrella. And so everybody kind of supported him. So he threw a camp, and it was in conjunction with one of our open mats where we take our kids and they just, do informal practices in randori. And he had it afterwards, and he encouraged all the kids to stay and try, and they did. And then, of course, Andre, being the person that he is, because he can bull strangers out of nowhere, have to try sumo. He asked the parents. He kept bugging us, and I was like, "Cool, I'll try it. I don't care, And so I went and I tried it, and then I kind of stayed, and it was just really interesting. But the thing that kind of drew me was with martial arts for women, it's hard to find a spot where you feel comfortable that's not just all women or it's co-ed. And you have my experience has been like with martial arts, if you're going with a whole bunch of guys, there's always going to be that one guy that has something to prove that's and that's but the sumo community, no matter what, has always been even keel, open to progress, open to getting better. And that was something that I really admired about it. And that's kind of what drew me to it.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I feel like that's a common thread with people who get interested in sumo is how welcoming the community is from the very get-go.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most important thing for sumo to continue growing, particularly for women? We're seeing a lot more women getting interested in sumo. What do you think is most important to grow that demographic?
I think the most important, I think what we really need to do is just we need to support each other. And I know it's hard because it's an individual sport, so you don't necessarily have a team. And it's also harder because geographically, we're in several different places. So if we have a cluster here and a cluster here, it might be clicked up, but that's, gender-wise, that's everywhere. But for women, I think 100% we need to support each other, and then also we need to be introducing the sport to juniors heavily and making it a welcoming and opening sport to young females.
Okay. And are y'all seeing success with that in New Orleans with Welcome Mat Sumo?
We have not pulled very many female juniors in any. We've had more male interest, but it also couples with the fact that I have a son that's 15. And so it may be some of it. We have a couple of his friends, and we had some gym members that were interested. So we're actually looking at relocating to New Orleans or having a space there so that we can reach a broader audience. That's our goal.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. You'll have to keep us updated on that.
Yes, definitely will.
Yeah, because I love your current location, but the more closer you can get to New Orleans, then I'm sure that would bring in a lot new clientele.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So to get back to your history in sumo, do you remember your first sumo match?
I do.
Do you know who it was against, and do you want to describe how it went?
It was with Sonia. Sonia is an old-time gamer. She's from California. She hasn't been in sumo since they did Worlds in Mongolia. And she was my first one. And she had this nose piercing. I remember it because I thought it was really cool, and I was like in a safari, everyone. And I did hit her in the face, and she got a bloody nose, but she ended up pulling a very classic wrestling move and just kind of moving out of the way. Walked myself out the circle. So, but yeah, she was my first.
And was that at do you remember what event that was at?
Yeah, it was the 2014 Nationals.
Okay.
That was my first competition, which maybe not the best venue to start at, but hey.
Yeah, I was about to say you started out on top, so you didn't make it easy for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you remember how well you did in that event?
I took third, but it was only three of us. So it was Sonia, Helen, and I. Sonia was kind of vetted, and Helen had a judo background. So, yeah, I took third.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a pretty stacked field. So that's nothing to, I don't know, shake a stick at or whatever the phrase is. That's interesting. So since you started in 2014 then with Nationals, since then, how many competitions, if, give or take, have you competed in?
There's definitely a lack of competitions. I'm trying to think. I would say like 10 to 15, but I'd have to sit down and think about it. I'm sorry I wasn't prepared to answer those types of questions.
Oh, no, it's all good. I'm just trying to get a rough estimate of it. Mainly because I'm just interested in, so you competed in about 10 or 15. In those various competitions you've competed in, do you have a favorite match? Do you have a favorite moment? Or do you have a favorite event that you competed in?
I have to say the most gratifying one, and it might not seem gratifying, but it was for me because I don't know if it's like stage fright or whatever, but when it comes to like being in the ring, I'm not necessarily like, I kind of get overcome, and we haven't figured that out. Andre and I work on it. Like I could go and practice, beat everyone and it's great. But if like people are watching for some reason, it becomes, it gets in my head. So we work on that, but it's gotten better over the years. So I think I just needed to get used to it. But anyway, there was a US Open that I went to, and I think it was the second one I went to, and I was still super nervous. But I was in a bracket, and I remember one competitor, and it was her first time competing, and I took third, but I beat her, so she took fourth, and I felt so good because I was like, I beat who I was supposed to beat, and you know what I mean? Like, so the expectation was I should have probably beat her, and I did. So that was probably my most gratifying win. So I was like, okay, well, I met that expectation.
Nice. So there's a lot to think about with what you just now said. So I have two questions I can think of.
Sure.
The first one is that you competed at an Open. When I interviewed Justin, when I interviewed Ed, they talked about how intense it was to compete at the Open. How you have such a big audience. There's seems like there's so much chaos around. Did you feel the same way about competing at the Open, or what were your thoughts about competing there?
I think the first time that I compete, yes, it was very overwhelming. But the second time we welcome out went as a group, we had 2 females and we had 1 male lightweight competitor. And that overall kind of just really helped, solidify that we were there and we were there to compete, which made it easier. It didn't feel so chaotic and so we weren't like starstruck or anything, And then also at the last Open, when we got to sit and hang out with Biamba and just see all these people as regular people, it kind of just made it that much easier. So, once we got to meet all like the star wrestlers and, they're people like you and me. We're not it just made it easier.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can understand. Do you have a favorite American sumo competitor other than yourself or your husband, of course?
Yes. You know what? I love Cornelius Booker. 100%.
Yeah, we're going to have him as an interview soon. So, of course, I'm a big fan of him too. But is there a particular reason you're a fan of his?
Cornelius and Robert, I tell you, but Cornelius is like probably, I don't want to say above Robert, I shouldn't even say that we're recording because Robert's one of our guys.
Of course.
But Cornelius, I love Cornelius because he's the American story, right? He wasn't the best, but he was persistent and he kept going and he kept going and he's still persistent. It hasn't waned. He's not jaded. And so he's really like the future of our age group. He's 20 something, but going into the 30s, we need someone like that in the next 10 years to make sumo relevant for the 30-year-olds. 100%.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said, that Cornelius, he's improved tremendously just from what I've been seeing. And also he like lives and breathes sumo. Whenever I'm like running the website, there will be events, and it's like the day after he'll send an email that will be like, hey, do you have pictures of the event? I can send you 100 of them. And I'm like, cool, thanks.
That's great.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. So my other thing I was going to bring up mention based on what you said was you talked about getting the sense of stage fright when you compete in competitions. And that's another thing that a lot of the prior interviews have said is like, sumo is such a mental sport. It's like, I think Ed said it was half mental, half physical. How much do you think about the mental aspect of sumo? And is there any processes you go through to really align your mindset with the sumo match?
You know what? I have to agree with Ed on that aspect. I do agree that a lot of it's mental because there's so much pressure because you only get one chance. You don't get to recover. You don't get to come back. There's no point system. So, to prep, I actually shut down and I do not talk to anyone before a competition. I do not stare down my competition. I don't look up my competition. Like for the next 5 weeks, I will just train. I'll probably shut down and I will not necessarily be very sociable. I will just really focus on training. And then when I go to Worlds, like I said, I probably won't be sociable or meet anyone until after the competition. That's usually what I really just kind of shut down and don't talk to anybody, especially at the competition.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think it's talking to other people? Do you think that's a distraction, or is there a particular reason why you do that?
Yeah, I am 100% super ADHD. So yeah, to be like, to be focused, I need to have no distraction, and it's nothing personal. I love meeting everyone. I just prefer, especially my competition, I don't want to have any kind of sensitivity to them or like them at all if I don't know them. So, I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, we're friends, you know?
Yeah.
No, I don't. But yeah, that's basically what I do prior to a competition.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and that's similar to what other people have said in some of the other interviews, talking about almost entering like a meditative state. That like you have to become balanced within yourself before you can become balanced on the mat. So
yeah, that's
interesting. So you talked about preparing for upcoming events. You currently train in New Orleans. What's your normal training routine like? Do you train multiple times a week, once a week? And when you do train, what type of things do you focus on?
So usually, because we have the gym, we do like, I consider it like we almost have a couple practices a week that are beginner introductory classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll participate and help coach. Now, over the next 5 weeks, we'll lock down and do 3 to 4 times a week, but it won't be open in newbies. It will just be one-on-one practice for selected people that we feel would be good, would be a good match. And we will focus on technique, power, things like that.
Okay, that makes sense. What type of drills, what type of exercises do you do to better your sumo skills?
Well, we do the basics. We're definitely all about muscle memory. So we have a set routine where it is, we do shikos, we do suriachis, we do working on the tachi with the busukari.
Mm-hmm.
We do all that, and we do it as a ritual every single time. It's like our warm-up for going forward. And then we might go into some footwork, ring awareness work, drills. But we drill a lot. And then we drill about 30 to 40 minutes, and then we do matches for about 20. And sometimes we might do situationals for 10 to 15, and then go into matches. So we do not spend a lot of time just match after match after match. We really break everything down, work on muscle memory, because we assume that no one is at home doing shikos.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and they could be. I mean, we're not, not everybody can be as cool as Cornelius. No, because I can imagine him doing shikos in his kitchen.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he does.
But, so we try to instill that, and also so we have some kind of like uniform and instruction, so that anybody can come into our class and do sumo at any time.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense. That's a good policy. So is there a particular skill set in sumo that you think you're particularly good at, or that you particularly focus on, or do you just try to be balanced among everything?
I was trying to think of that the other day, because I had like a one-on-one session with someone, and I was having, because Andre usually does all the talking, which is fine with me. But I was like, oh, this isn't coming out right. And I was like, you know what? I just broke it down. I was like, basically, if I'm just in a match or we're going head to head, my goal is just to close the space. If I close as much space as I possibly can, then I'm probably going to have more control. And so that's what I've been trying to, and I was like, and then I use that as a catalyst for what I'm going to do next. So if I confirm that I've closed the space, and I say, well, what can I do right now?
That makes sense. That's interesting. I've never heard it put that way, but I could totally see that being an effective terminology to use for getting that advantage in sumo. I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah. So you're talking about training. You're talking about training for this event in 5 weeks. I'm assuming you're talking about the World Sumo Championships, correct?
Yes, sir.
So how excited are you for that?
I am elated. I'm nervous. It almost doesn't feel real because I've never been out of the country. Actually, I'm just like from a small kind of city town in Kansas. Never really had, I've traveled across America, but nothing. This will be amazing, honestly.
And it's in Japan, correct?
Yeah, Osaka, Japan.
Yeah. So what's your expectations for this event? What's your expectations for your performance? But also what's your expectations for, I guess, the atmosphere there? Because it's Sumo Japan. That's like that's the place. So what are your thoughts about the event?
My thoughts are to have no expectations
Mm-hmm.
for myself or anybody else and just kind of be, because I don't want to be overcome and I don't want to be disappointed. So I'm just going at zero and that's it. So no expectations, just going for the experience and, with the confidence of knowing what I know now. That's all I can do at this point, because I've never never had a chance to actually get the funds to go compete. I've had plenty of chances to be on the team, but this will be the first time I can actually go.
Yeah, that's a good point. Traveling to Japan, competing in this event in the World Sumo Championships, that's expensive. So for the audience who might not know, does someone pay for this? Do you pay for this? How does that work?
Well, with the USSF, they received a grant from the Women's Sports Foundation, and each of the athletes got $500, and as a stipend plus our other stipend, and so that is almost guaranteed the trip for us. I mean, that's like $700 some odd, and it's like, if you can't come up with the rest, then I don't know. Before it would just be like, you got to come up with $1,200.
Yeah.
Here's $100 stipend, and plus $500 for the hotel. So it made it a little bit difficult. But this year, we're so thankful to have the Women's Sports Foundation donate that money, and we really hope that we can do it some justice, honestly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's wonderful how there's more organizations getting interested in sumo, and because everything costs money. Everything costs money to do. Sumo, you have to fly, you have to travel. So that's wonderful that y'all can get that type of financial support.
And plus, we've had Sean Jackson, who was a big contributor to my funds, who's very involved with the local, not local, but like local national. He's not necessarily interested in international sumo. And then Eric Griffin has been a constant supporter. Every time I raise money, him and his wife are always throwing money in the pot. So I so appreciate them for always being there.
Well, that's nice. That's very nice. So is there anything that, do y'all sell t-shirts? Is there anything that fans of sumo could do to support not only yourself, but all the Team USA members going to the World Sumo Championships?
Yes, absolutely. Welcome Mat has our Dirty South Sumo Tournament shirts for sale on our website. And then we also, the USSF has USA Team Apparel for sale. I'm not sure if it's on the website, and I'm not sure where it's broadcast, but they can definitely inquire within the USSF via email. Our stuff is available online. Anybody can just go on and purchase it, and we'll ship it out. But as far as getting the items from the USSF, I don't have the details.
Okay. Once I put this on the website, I'll be sure to provide links. So if you have any links that people can go to and use, I'll definitely provide those. But I can say that every fan of sumo is excited for the World Sumo Championships, because that's where the best of the best compete.
Absolutely.
I love going back and watching those old videos of people that, when they were in amateur sumo, they won World Sumo Championships, and then one day they, end up in professional sumo and make it to the top of the top. So it's always fun to watch.
Right.
Yeah. So the World Sumo Championships is in 5 weeks. What are your sumo goals for even longer term than that? What's your overall sumo goals, if you have any?
I don't know. I feel like this is like coming to head, right? I don't want to say that the world is dictate, if I lose horribly, I'm just going to walk away. No, I'm just joking. Sumo, I love sumo so much. I love learning about it, working with people. It's just, I love the community. It's a part of me now, and now it's ingrained in Andre and I. It's how we met. It's how we fell in love. So it's something that will just always be there. I'm definitely going to keep competing. I've just been teetering on weight classes because I have the ability to go. I mean, if I want to be hardcore, go all the way down to lightweight. But I don't know. I'm at light heavy now, and I could definitely go to the other one. So I've had the vision of maybe hitting all those weight classes, and trying to medal in every weight class, because now I feel like Andre's medaled in every weight class, and I want to be like, oh, okay, me too, because we're kind of competitive with each other. But I feel like that might be an achievable goal, is to hit every weight class, maybe over the next 3 years.
I think that's a good goal. That's a very good goal. So as you go across these weight classes, who are the people that you're either looking forward to competing to the most, or competing with the most, or people that you want to that you're looking forward to just getting on the mat with?
That is a great question. I haven't thought about that either. The funny thing is anybody. I don't care. But on a second note, who I would love to train more with is Mariah Holmes. I would love to train with I think it's the Japanese middleweight, if I could. And I can't, nobody else that comes to mind at the moment. But training-wise, I would like to elaborate that immensely. In the ring, I don't care who it is.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, Mariah, as anyone who's listening to this knows, she's one of the top of the top. So yeah, she would be fantastic. And do you know where she trains at?
I believe she trains with Andrew in California at his club.
That's what I was thinking too. Have you ever been out there to see how they do their training, or?
I haven't. Whenever we go to the US Open, we go in on a Friday and out on a Sunday, so it kind of makes it hard to make that possible. But as more people are interested in doing that, because we have so many young guys that want to stay or go, we might try to make those excursions and make that more of a possibility. We've just been on our own for a little bit, but sumo is it's growing like weeds right now. We've got so much interest.
That's wonderful. And what do you think right now is the thing that's making people most interested in sumo?
Cornelius. No, I'm just joking. There's a sumo anime that everybody's watching.
Yes, you're right.
The name of it.
Yep.
Everybody has talked about it when they come to our club. They're like, "Oh yeah, I watched this and I want to try it," and so, which is great.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I sometimes forget that anime exists until, like you said, sometimes I'll have people send me emails that say, "Where's the nearest sumo club to me? I watch this anime." Yeah, it's so fantastic. That's neat. That's very neat. So those were the main questions that I had. Do you have anything else that you would want listeners to know, you would want listeners to hear, or just anything else that you want to get out there?
I would say that, going forward, I feel like Welcome Mat is really growing, and our goals have changed over the years of what we want to do. And I think we are focusing more on kind of bringing the people into the sport that don't necessarily, because every time you have a gym, there's always going to be people that say, well, I'm just going to come and watch. I'm going to check it out. And kind of like, we want to make the atmosphere where the people come in and say, no, I want to try it. I want to give it a try. So we really want to commit to that culture so that we can pull more people in, but also we really want to dedicate a lot of time to juniors as well, and growing juniors, because we really feel that's the future. Like my son Dante went in our tournament and won gold in the lightweight men's division, and he's going to go, if they let him, he'll go compete in the lightweight at Georgia too. So, I mean, there's just a lot of promise, and if we can get him in, and I know Kenneth Heffernan has like an awesome junior program, and just has an awesome program, period. We consider him like the godfather of sumo, but it's just how can we grow it and not, kind of kill the nepotism and create more of a welcoming into the government body of it too, and kind of open it up to more people.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know I said I didn't have any more questions, but what you just now said opened up 3 new questions for me.
Okay.
What's your son's name?
His name is Dante.
Dante? Okay, so we will be sure to keep an eye out for him. How long has he been competing in sumo?
Just this year, honestly. He did a juniors program at one of the nationals when we lived in Missouri still. Mm-hmm. But his background is judo. He's been doing judo for 5 years. He went under welcome mat in Kansas City under Steve Stott. He's been studying under Kenny Brink for years. We moved down here. We couldn't find a lot of judo, and to his demise, we're like, but we can do sumo with you, and he's like, ugh, And then, but he watched the anime, and so he kind of got a little hooked. And then he loves, I don't know if you're familiar with Big Nick. He just came onto the scene down here, and he's done really well. Attended a lot of camps, but they get along. So he's kind of just been wrapped up into the community, and I think the guys have really been like, oh, okay, he's a cool kid. And so I think he's latched onto that camaraderie, because that's what he missed about his club in Kansas City. So we're really thankful for everyone for being open to him and taking him in like that.
Nice, that's wonderful, and he must be doing wildly successful if he's already getting gold. So, like I said, we'll keep an eye out for him. The second question I had is you talked about newcomers coming to sumo at your gym, and one thing that I feel like is a barrier for a lot of newcomers is they, as things as basic as they don't know where to get the mawashi, they don't know how to get the belt. So just for listeners to know, do y'all provide those at your gym? If people come up with no experience and they know nothing about it, do you have the mawashi for them, or how does that work?
Yeah, we have about 5 mawashis that we lend out, and we have about 7 kid mawashis if we ever have kids come in. And then also we will put them in every avenue we can if they want to purchase a mawashi, whether we've put people through Cornelius, or we've, obviously Andrew has the, I forgot what the word is, but he's got the ones that are regulated for the sport. So the official, he's got the official mawashi. So we send them to Andrew. But we just follow up and make sure that, either they can use one or we'll help them get one.
Okay, so people who have nothing at all, know nothing about the sport, can just show up to your gym and start whenever because you can provide loaner ones at least?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like for any club that's starting out, if you want to get new people, you could do that. Also, what I took from, because I will watch a lot of the junior federations in other countries, Russia, because Europe has more of a belt wrestling history, they kind of adapted to other things, which maybe we weren't so open to it because we're just sumo. And but they use gi belts, and so we had a practice where we didn't have enough mawashis, and we just had a couple people put on gi belts so they can still get a feel for it and learn how to grab the belt.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. That's a wonderful tip. I feel like other gyms should know about that because they could then incorporate sumo, or at least the sumo practices.
It's just being relentless, just making it seem like the easiest thing you could possibly do. Like, oh, it's like taking a walk in the park. No big deal. Anybody can do it. So.
Nice. Yeah. And then my other question related to that is another barrier I feel that people have from entering sumo is how to even get the mat, or how to even get a place to practice. Do you have any tips for other locations that might be interested in that? How they could get a mat or make a makeshift mat?
We've done several different things, and we've seen other clubs do several different things. What we originally did is we started out in the community center, and we had one of our guys, Derek Jeffries. He designed an awesome. Actually, I liked that ring better than the official ring, which is kind of funny. But it's just a PCV pipe made into a circle, and we would attach it, and then he cut pool noodles in half, and he put it over, and we would just put duct tape where the creases are to hold it down on the tatamis. And that worked for us for years. But I've seen clubs use the athletic belt, or the rope. The rope that you use, I've seen that, and you can take that down. I know that a guy in Oregon, Sean Buller, looks like he has created his own maybe I don't know what it's made out of, but I think people are just getting more creative. And even if you just have a wrestling mat that has a circle on it, or you have anything with a boundary, that'll work. But if you just have a mat, anywhere you can go, you can do sumo. And what we're doing now is we took some tips from other clubs who are struggling. They're like, oh wow, you have your own gym. This is great. And it's like, well, it is great, but sumo doesn't necessarily pay the bills. So what we are doing is looking at going into individual spaces that have better locations and less overhead, and just conducting sumo in those places. And not necessarily needing a primary location, but just a more valuable location for us to draw people in.
And that makes sense. And I think that might be similar to what Justin's doing right now in Texas, where he found a current gym and he's like using their space. I might be wrong about that, but...
No, I think you are, and almost all of them are. I know Eric Griffin has a nice space in Georgia. There's some other guys in Georgia. Ed has a good space. So yeah, almost everybody just kind of checks in and sees what martial arts gym they can use. And usually, because sumo is so kind of like, I don't know, it's so different, a lot of the martial artists are kind of like, okay, like I just kind of want to see it. So yeah, you can come do it here. And then I think the Pasadena Sumo Club even has a really cool spot. We were down there a couple weeks ago, and the owner there was so nice, and he was so intrigued when he was watching us too. So I mean, it's a win-win for a martial arts studio. And I think that's the way to kind of sell it to the martial arts, is like, hey, this is different, it's new, it's growing, it just got recognized as an Olympic sport. This is, you want to have us here. Like, be confident in the self-worth of sumo, or in the worth of sumo.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's a wonderful way to put it. Thank you for giving your thoughts, and thanks for giving your answers and your time. I really appreciate it. I know you're a very busy person, and right now you're preparing for the World Sumo Championships, where everyone's going to be cheering you on. So thank you for spending the time with us.
No, thank you. We really appreciate it. It's been a whirlwind, but we're making it happen, and we're so happy to get the support from everyone. 100%.
Nice. And one last closing note is, if people want to find out more about your gym, if they want to find out how to support you, what websites, what links should they go to?
Well, we have our Welcome at Sumo Facebook page, Welcome at NOLA Facebook page, but we do have our website that has all of our information, which is welcomeatnola.org. And that will give you links to everything, to all of our social media, and it's a direct contact to us. So.
Great. And you said that was welcomeatsumo.org?
Welcomeatnola.org.
Welcomeatnola.org, yep. Yeah, and I got to say, it's a fantastic website. I went on there a few days ago, and y'all, it's completely top-notch. It's wonderful. So
that's all me.
Nice. Well, you should. That can be your third job.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. And like I said, I look forward to seeing you competing at